If you're moving to Boston or you already live here and you're trying to do your research on the market and read up on what is currently happening, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, a lot of this looks way too familiar to what happened in 2008. Are we in a bubble? Are we about to see a housing crisis like what we saw in 2008? In this video, I'm breaking down a few really big differences between now and what happened in 2008 as to why things are different now in 2022. And it's not a housing bubble, but there are some big things happening in real estate right now. So let's get into it. Hey there, welcome to the channel or welcome back to the channel. My name is Jacob Peistrup. Glad to have you. And hey, just real quick, if you are looking into the housing market and real estate and you want some help with that process of either buying, selling, whatever it is, if you want some help with that, send us an email, send us a text message, whatever works for you. Let's get in touch. Let's go over any questions you have. I mean, that is what I am here for. I am a realtor and I love the reach outs I get through the YouTube channel because that is my favorite part of my job. Sharing this city, the housing market, the finances behind what is going on with my YouTube viewers, and helping people navigate this crazy, ridiculous real estate market right here in 2022. So hey, if you think you might want to work together, send us an email and let's go from there. Now, getting right into this video. So Fannie Mae just recently downgraded their forecast for the US economy. So they adjusted their projection and are now indicating potentially a recession in the near future. So let's talk about it. Now, I'm sure you are aware interest rates have gone up this year, and because of that, it's starting to kill demand for new mortgages. So yes, there are definitely buyers right now who are kind of dropping out of the market just because rates are going up. They're not comfortable with that. They'd rather wait it out than purchase a new home right now. So we are seeing a decrease in demand. Nothing too extreme, at least from my point of view so far. That could change. But yes, we are seeing a slowdown in applications for mortgages and a slowdown in the demand for financing with the purchase of real estate. And trust me, I know better than anyone, the real estate market right here in Boston, both the city and the suburbs, has been very crazy since the start of COVID because, rates went down and it just like unleashed the floodgates of people moving to Boston, moving from Boston, moving around from the city to the suburbs and vice versa. So it's been crazy, and we are, somewhat seeing a slowdown in the demand for housing and the demand for mortgages. Now, one really big difference between now and 2008 is in the mortgage industry. So regulation is tighter, the rules are stricter. They're not just giving out mortgages to anyone and everyone these days. So requirements for borrowers are higher than they were 2008. We are no longer seeing those ninja loans, which ninja stands for no income, no job, or assets. That is not the case these days. Borrowers have to show that they are credit worthy, they have the income and the assets to qualify for these mortgages. So for all the buyers running around right now with pre-approvals, there's meaning behind that because it shows that they're at least qualified buyers compared to what we saw in 2008. So that is one of the big differences between now and 2008. All the buyers right now are much more qualified thanks to stricter regulation than what we saw in 2008. So it means these borrowers are way less risky. There is much less risk of default because they have good credit. They have solid jobs and assets to show when it comes to getting pre-approved for a house. And back in 2008, we all know that was not the case. These days, the lenders are sticking to their checklists. If you don't meet their requirements, you're not gonna get pre-approved. So that is at least the good news for what we're seeing in the market today. The second really big difference as to why we are not in a bubble right now, in my opinion, is that these days people have money. They have good jobs, especially thanks to COVID, with working remotely and people getting promotions and new opportunities across the world now that we can work virtually. Job opportunities are exploding. People have money, they have assets, and here's the thing, they have equity these days because prices have been going up so high that if you've bought a house in the last 5 years, chances are you're sitting on some decent equity right now, which means when it comes to selling and then purchasing, you've got money behind that. Like for all of my sellers, because prices have gone up so much, they are selling their homes for top dollar, oftentimes, at least right now, in competitive situations. And then we're turning around when they buy a place to beat out the competition. Sometimes if they've got enough equity from selling their house, they can turn that into a cash offer on the next place, which helps them out as far as being competitive in the market these days. So key takeaway here, buyers are qualified and they have money. And in 2008, that was not the case the way it is today. And to be honest with you, at least with the buyers that I've worked with recently who've reached out through the YouTube channel, I mean, these families have great credit. Their jobs are sometimes even paying for their relocation here, and they have the assets and the income to back up their pre-approval letter when it comes to writing a strong offer, when they move to town. And that's the thing these days. If you're pre-approved by a decent local lender, key emphasis on local lender, if your lender's phone number starts with a 1-800, that is not a local lender. But if you go with a local lender who has a solid reputation, I mean, these guys are issuing solid pre-approval letters to buyers who are well qualified to be buying real estate right now. Now, the next thing you're probably concerned about as far as how today might look similar to 2008 is the prices. High inflation, we're seeing prices just skyrocket right now. And unfortunately, the competitive situations and bidding wars is not helping that. It's making things much worse. Things are going over list so often that, the list price these days is kind of meaningless. Like the way I see it and kind of explain this to my buyers is, it is a marketing strategy. Because if that house or that condo sells for $200,000, $300,000 above list price, do you think the list price was accurate in the beginning? Or was it more like a starting place for an auction? Because that's kind of how it goes these days with these competitive situations. The prices just keep getting higher and higher and higher the more offers they receive. But here's the thing. Back in 2008, people were throwing money at anything with a for sale sign. These days, that is not the case. And in my experience, the way things are going right now is that if a house or a condo is priced appropriately, not too high, not too ambitious, if it's priced appropriately and oftentimes even below market value, because people do that a lot these days, they'll price it a little bit lower than they could get for it, because that makes the bidding war just that much more extreme. But let me tell you, when there is an older house or an older condo that's just ugly, it's outdated, and you can tell the sellers were a little bit too ambitious with the price, it'll sit there. It'll sit on the market, and if they don't adjust within 5 to 10 days, these days on the market is killer for that listing. So if you're selling and your place is sitting on the market for a week, 2 weeks, 3 or more weeks, like that is a lot of time these days, and buyers are hyper aware of how long a place is on the market, because the longer it sits there, trust me, they're scrolling Zillow, they're scrolling through these listings and they see, oh my God, 21 days on market. Like, what is wrong with the place? Like, something's not right here. There's got to be some kind of red flag. That's how they see that. And sometimes it might just be priced a little bit too high, but trust me, if the price and the interior are not in line, it'll sit there. And that's the thing that's very different these days from 2008. And the thing that can be very difficult if you're a seller is that the longer that house is on the market, basically the more of a discount buyers are gonna start to expect from it. And I see this all the time, where sometimes buyers will start to think, every 10 days or so, whatever it is that the house is on the market, they're gonna start knocking down the price they're willing to submit for it. So if you've been on the market for 30 days, buyers look at that very differently, and they're gonna want to knock down that price and negotiate down. And sometimes, I gotta explain that, hey, yes, I totally understand where you're coming from. You see those days on market just adding up and you're expecting a discount for it. But really these days with interest rates going up, sometimes demand is just cooling off, and in a certain neighborhood or a certain part of town, the market just kind of slows down. And it's not about price, it's not about, the house being too expensive or overpriced. It's just these days things are cooling down a little bit, and maybe things don't move as quickly as we were used to a year ago. And again, a lot of this really is gonna start going back to the mortgage rates, because as those rates go up, affordability is gonna start going down and down, because for roughly every 1% increase in interest rates, you lose about 10% of affordability. So if you were looking at $1 million houses at a 4% rate, a couple months ago, and these days you're at a 5% rate, you should knock that down from 1 million to 900,000. So adjust it by around 10%, because that's the affordability you're gonna lose if your interest rate goes up every 1%. And I'm generalizing this because obviously it's always gonna depend on taxes, insurance, HOA fees, or condo fees. But for the most part, for every 1% increase on your rate, you should expect around 10% less in purchasing power. And I mean, obviously every time I have buyers, if we can negotiate down the price, if possible, I'm gonna do it. Like I'm gonna do that whenever I can, but it is tough these days. So you gotta be realistic about price. A lot of times you're negotiating up, not down on the list price these days. People these days, yes, the bidding wars are crazy, but people are smart about it. They're not just throwing money at anything with a for sale sign. Like when I have clients going into bidding wars, I mean, it is a updated house, it's an updated condo, the sellers have taken great care of it, it's in great shape, it's updated, it is beautiful, and oftentimes it's priced, within the perfect price range to get enough interest to really just exceed that list price. So that's really what's happening these days, where the price is really a marketing tactic, and that is why we're seeing so much competition. And trust me, like it is intense. Like if you're moving to Boston or you already live somewhere around Boston and you're making a move this year, it's not for the faint of heart buying a house or buying a condo these days. Like you got to have the stomach to deal with the stress, the intensity of these just competitive, ridiculous situations for some of these listings that come online. But like I said, that's one really big difference, because these days buyers are very smart. They do their due diligence, they do their research. I mean, trust me, buyers will spend hours on Zillow, Google, YouTube, doing research about the town, the neighborhood, the house itself, the tax records, the public history of it. Like they do their research, they are very thorough. So I think these days, basically, buyers are just more in tune with, the value that they see on places they're submitting offers on. And if that offer happens to be 6 figures above list price, yeah, prices are going up, prices are getting insane. But buyers are smart and they see the value because they spend a lot of time, trust me, doing their research on anything that even remotely matches their criteria. Like, trust me, even when I set up my clients on an MLS link to their portal, I see their activity, I see them on there just watching like a hawk for something to come online or something to go under contract, and just analyze the details of what happened and just what's going on with that house. People are watching very carefully these days. So trust me, if you're moving to Boston or you're looking at the market here and keeping an eye on things, and you're kind of, intimidated by how fast prices are increasing, and you're getting flashbacks to 2008, I understand. But these are some of the fundamental differences between what's happening right now and what happened 14 years ago that make today's real estate market a very different game from what it was during the financial crisis. So if you're moving to Boston, looking to buy a house, a condo, sell, whatever it is, if you want help with that process, send over an email, send a text message. If you want to work together, let's get in touch and let me get to work for you. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Hope you take care. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next video right here on the Living Boston channel.